What's going on, Packers Nation? Welcome back to another video of Packers Latest. I am your host, Taylor Bretl, keeping you up to date on the latest news on the green and gold Green Bay Packers. A happy Tuesday to all of you watching out there, and a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. If you want to sign up for Underdog, there's no better time. The Super Bowl just a couple of days away, coming up on Sunday, February 8th. Feel free to scan that QR code right up there when you sign up and play your first $5. You can win $75 in bonus entries, so you don't want to miss out on that. I apologize that I have been missing out the past couple of days. Been battling a slight sickness, a little under the weather. I feel like it's cold everywhere in the world right now. I unfortunately, I've had a fever the past couple of days, but we're feeling better. I'm happy to be back providing you guys with some information on the green and gold. The first information we're going to get into is coaching talks. This first coach in Daniel Bullocks, he has been hired to the defensive staff for the Packers, and then we're going to get into a coach that is interviewing to possibly fill another role with the Packers. But starting off with Daniel Bullocks, this is per Bill Huber of the Green Bay Packers on SI. I'm going to take a chunk out of his article and read it to you guys to kind of give you a background on who Bullocks is and how he could fit into the Packers defensive system. Says, the Green Bay Packers have hired former NFL defensive back Daniel Bullocks to Jonathan Gannon's new coaching staff. That's probably the last big hire for Green Bay's new defensive staff. DeMarcus Covington remains on the staff as a defensive lines coach and defensive run game coordinator. Sam Seifkis replaced Sean Duggan as linebackers coach, and Bobby Babish replaced Derek Ainsley as defensive pass game coordinator. Based on their histories, Bullocks probably will focus on cornerbacks and Babish on safeties. Bullock spent the past 9 seasons with the San Francisco 49ers, first as assistant defensive backs coach in 2017 and 2018 as part of Kyle Shanahan's original staff, then as safeties coach from 2019 through 2022, and finally as defensive backs coach the past 3 seasons. So this is a guy, 9 years he's been with the 49ers, all on the defensive side of the ball in many different roles. I do like how Huber threw in here kind of where Bullocks could be fitting in with the Packers, saying based on their histories, Bullocks will probably focus on cornerbacks. Because we talk about that hire in Babish, he'll focus more on the safeties. But feel free to drop a comment down below. Do you like this hire? I personally like it. He has lots of experience, especially sticking with one team. That's usually a positive when a team wants to keep you around and kind of move you up in the ranks with them as well. Especially when that team is the San Francisco 49ers, who have a pretty successful track record of getting into the playoffs. I know that's a team that kind of can't get it done just like the Packers, but it's a team that have given the Packers plenty of trouble, so it's nice to take one of their guys away, to say the least. But again, Bullock's past 9 seasons with the 49ers, and looks like he will be coaching mainly the cornerbacks for the Packers. So in my opinion, the Packers have to get cornerbacks for Bullocks because his cornerback room this season was rather thin and not the best. Keyshawn Nixon is a Pro Bowler, but he definitely got voted in because a lot of guys dropped out, with all due respect. And then you look at Nate Hobbs. He's a guy that couldn't stay on the field and healthy. You got Carrington Valentine. He had an all-right season. And that's about it. Javon Bullard playing in the nickel a little bit. That's really all they had. You had Bo Melton to play just in case, and he didn't have to. You signed Trayvon Diggs for the last week or two, and he didn't really play many snaps, and he played just 1 snap in the playoff game. So this was a corner room that was rather messy and not the best. We talked about it in a previous episode where the Packers should be looking at a free agent corner to add to the staff. In my opinion, they should add 2. Maybe they add one off of free agency and draft another one. Who knows the deal with that? That could be a video for another day, because there's a stat. The Packers, I don't think they've drafted a corner earlier than the 7th round in the past 4 drafts. So it will be interesting to see how the Packers approach the cornerback room. But Bullocks would like to have some help there when he comes to coach for Green Bay. But this is an official hire to the defensive staff. But outside of an official hire, the Packers are in talks. They are requesting to interview for a different role on their staff. Switching over to the offensive side, the Packers need to fill that quarterback coach role, because Sean Mannion left the Packers and got a job with the Philadelphia Eagles as their offensive coordinator. So the name that could be filling those shoes is Connor Sanger. This is per Easton Butler on X, saying the Packers will interview Cardinals pass game specialist Connor Sanger for their vacant quarterback job, per Tom Pelissero. Sanger is a Wisconsin native, in Milwaukee for high school, attending both Wisconsin and UW Oshkosh as a quarterback. So that's actually something that's pretty neat. The main tie there is the Cardinals under Gannon. Gannon's now at the Packers. You see how that's going to kind of track. But it is neat that he has multiple connections to the state of Wisconsin that can make Green Bay more of an attractive destination. But again, you look at this, the QB coach position does need to be filled after Mannion left to go to the Eagles to be their offensive coordinator. So not really a lot of names out there filling that role. This is really the only one that I've seen. If you guys have seen any other ones, feel free to leave it down in the comments down below. Or if there's a name that the Packers haven't really looked at that you'd like for them to look at, feel free to leave that as well. But Sanger, I mean, he could be an interesting hire, in my opinion. He is coming from the Cardinals. Not the greatest defense there, but it's more, not the greatest offense there, I should say. But he is coming over because Jonathan Gannon is the defensive coordinator for the Packers, coming over from the Cardinals as their head coach. And you're going to have some guys that follow. We already saw that with Sam Seifkis. He was the Virginia Tech Hokies defensive coordinator last season, but before that was the linebackers coach with the Cardinals while Gannon was there. So seems like this is a very likely hire. You got the Wisconsin ties, and you have the ties when he was the pass game specialist for the Cardinals. You have the ties with Gannon there. So again, not sure if any other names will be thrown into the mix. This is just a request to interview him. This is not an official hire, and this is about 2 days ago, I think this released 2 or 3 days ago. So need to see more movement on it to kind of make it feel a little more official. But feel free to leave in the comments down below if you like this possible hire for the Packers. Before we get into the next segment, got to give a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring this video. Football's biggest game is right around the corner, and you can get in on all the action with Underdog. Not on Underdog yet? Then you're in luck, because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just head to the app, make picks on if a player will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more. If you get them right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there's new promos dropping daily in the app, so if you like making picks and winning money, then Underdog is the place to be for the big game. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use promo code FOOTBALLFAN to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code FOOTBALLFAN. Underdog. Make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
I welcome you back to Packers Latest. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about the salary cap, which is expected to grow once more in 2026. We're going to take a look at the past 10 years and see how the salary cap has grown. It has almost doubled. If I'm looking at this right, I'm doing the math right. Yeah, basically doubled, right just short of it for where it's projected to sit of 2026 over the past 10 years. We started in 2016. Salary cap sits at $155 million. And you go all the way to 2026, it's projected to be at $305 million. I believe the true range is $301 to $305 million. But nonetheless, absolutely insane how big the salary cap is getting. It was just at $279 million in 2025 as well, which is something to note. So with the salary cap, will be interesting to see how the Packers kind of attack it. They are still, I believe, in some money trouble. We were talking about who could the Packers cut to kind of get some money back. Rashawn Gary's still on the roster. He was a projected name. Elton Jenkins still on the roster. He was a projected name to possibly let go. Trayvon Diggs was an expected name to let go, and he has been let go. So still early. The Packers have until June 1st for that first window on if they want to keep a player or not. So could still be a long while as it is just early February, but definitely interesting to see how the salary cap keeps growing and growing and growing, and how could the Packers use that to their advantage. Again, it's kind of crazy to me. I mean, I can go year by year on these numbers. So 155 in 2016, 167 in 2017, 177 in 2018, 188 in 2019, 198 in 2020, 182 in 2021, and then here's where the big jumps come. 208 in 2022, 224 in 2023, 255 2024, 279 2025, and projected $305 million in 2026. So this will be something to track because it's just where it's expected to sit. There's not an official value set on it yet. And we can kind of look into what this means for the Packers. But getting into the last point of the video today, we're looking at the schedule. I know it's kind of early. The Packers don't play a football game for many, many months. It is only February, and the season isn't over yet as we still have this Super Bowl in our way. But could Green Bay be slated for an international game? This is actually kind of something interesting. I've been seeing things on this all over X. So let's take a look into it. This is per Richard Ryman of the Green Bay Press Gazette, taking a piece out of his article here where he says the NFL plans 9 international games during the 2026 season, which means the Green Bay Packers' chance of being in one of them are high. The NFL announced on February 2nd that Paris will host its first game, and the league will return to Madrid and Mexico City this season as well. He kind of goes into the full list, kind of breaking it down more and more. But you go to the teams. Could the Packers possibly be facing someone? You go here. It says the New Orleans Saints, and then in dashes saying Louisiana has a strong French heritage, will be one of the teams in Paris. The Packers are scheduled to play the Saints in New Orleans this season. The Saints have marketing rights in France under the NFL's Global Markets program. So it seems like the Saints are a possibility if the Packers play out of the country. It could be against the Saints in Paris. That would be definitely fun to watch. Another possible team, it says the only other designated team is the Los Angeles Rams in Melbourne. The Packers are scheduled to play the Rams this year in Los Angeles. 4 teams, including the Rams, have marketing rights in Australia. All 3 of the other teams, which are the Seattle Seahawks, Philadelphia Eagles, and Las Vegas Raiders, are on the Rams' 2026 schedule. So it seems like the Saints are the likely opponent if the Packers play out of the country, but the Packers were also the last team in the NFL to play a game out of the country, and they really haven't had much success in doing so. They played the Giants, I believe, in 2022 in Rodgers' last year, and they lost there. And then in 2024, the Packers played in Brazil against the Eagles, and they lost in that game as well. So not much out-of-the-country experience, but the Packers are 0-2, hoping that that can change if they do play a game out of the country. It is looking like the Saints is the possible matchup. Saints, not too great this season, but you know that Shaw, I am going to pronounce their quarterback's name wrong. He had a pretty good back end to the season, and the Saints started to look a little legit. They kind of made things interesting. You know, they weren't going to win the division, but geez, they went from this bottom feeder in their division all the way to kind of close to contention because they went on this late season hot streak. So it will be interesting to see how legit the Saints are next year. That's definitely not a game you can overlook, despite how their season was this season, because they got a pretty young core climbing up there. But that's all I got for this episode of Packers Latest. Feel free to leave in the comments down below. Would you want to see the Packers play an international game? Do you like the hires the Packers are going for? How do you think the Packers should attack the offseason? I'll make sure to read all of those. But I appreciate you guys tuning in as always. I'm happy to be back, and go Pack Go.